Welcome everyone to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. It's March Madness is gone now, replaced now by April tomfoolery. But we're still dealing with a lot of exciting college action as we get to the Frozen Four, the Final Four, the men's and women's. And a lot of exciting actions. You know, the Red Sox have started off the season off to a surprising start there. Bruins getting some big wins on the road in Florida and then last night in Nashville. So we're hoping for their triumphant return home to the Garden. And then there's the Celtics ramping up for the playoffs, extending their lead. So those are some of the topics we'll discuss here and more with my main man, Al Prizzuti. Al, thanks for being here. And I'll tell you what, Al, I will raise my hand and freely admit I am a fan of women's basketball, always has been, always will be. And this week has been just, I think, a wonder. And in what one person, Caitlin Clark from Iowa, has done to elevate not only women's basketball, but basketball as a whole, and create so much enthusiasm and attention. You know, Al, would you be surprised if I told you that the LSU Iowa regional final in Albany drew 12 million viewers? That was a record that was set again by Iowa and LSU in a rematch of last year's championship game that ended, unfortunately, with Angel Reese taunting Caitlin Clark, creating some bad blood. But guess what? They really didn't have bad blood between them. And I think that's a credit to Caitlin Clark for not, taking the bait, taking the high ground and bringing Angel Reese with her. Because at the end of that game that they played, Angel Reese showed good form. And you know what? I'll give it up to her because she rolled her ankle in the middle of that game against LSU and then went off the court, got treated, and then came back. And she was a factor for her team, but Iowa was just too much. Caitlin Clark was just too much, and now they're off into the Final Four where they're going to meet UConn, Al. You know, the UConn, which was the paradigm for women's college basketball, and at the same time, they were being, they were like the pariahs as well because of their dominance. And people kept saying, well, they're bad for women's college basketball. No, you know what they did? They forced everyone to catch up. And now they have, and we're seeing great matchups. People know their names. Kevin Garnett tweeted, I know more college basketball players on the women's side than I do the men's. And he could name 5 right off the bat. And you know what? And I thought about that and I said, so can I, So that just shows you the awareness that is growing and it's expanding. And my own wife is a huge fan. She goes, is she playing? She wants to know, is she playing?
But I mean, what you're saying is true for one reason. Not just one, but one primary reason.
What's that?
Caitlin.
Yes.
I mean, she is almost like Larry Bird in a way.
Great analogy.
No, she's taken over the game because she does things that nobody else can do. I mean, she controls the game, and Aremia said, we want to keep her from scoring. Hopefully, she won't score 50 against us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she can score whatever she wants because nobody can.
And what all great players do is they make the players around them better.
Well, I mean,
and that's what she does in spades.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the LSU game. LSU played a good game, and they were a good team.
Yes.
But she won that game. And, if we were going to look at what's going to happen here with the 4 that are there, I'd say Iowa could not easily, but could beat UConn. UConn could win the game because they got a legacy. But I haven't seen a player at that level as good as Caitlin.
Oh, unbelievable. And, and the thing is this, Al, that we don't realize, but what's happening right now because of her presence in the game, it's growing it at the grassroots level.
Yeah, but you see, again, I want to say this.
Yeah.
People are watching that game, and why there's so many people? Because they keep hearing her voice, and they want to see what it is that everybody's talking about.
Correct.
Once you see it, it's not as...
You become a fan.
Well, because you're saying, okay, wow, now I want to see if this is something that she can bring a title to Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay? She leaves, a lot of people won't be watching that basketball anymore.
Well, no. I dispute that,
I
Al,
know.
because
See, I think you do,
there's
but-
girls that are waiting in the wings who want to be her, who want to be like her.
Nobody even
And you know
close.
what, though? You're right, because she's the GOAT, both men's and women's side. She is the hands-down GOAT. But the thing is, this is Al.
Let me
I
put
think,
it this way. You'll lose some followers when she's not in
but
the
Al, there's a
limelight.
freshman out at Southern Cal, Juju Watkins. She's unbelievable.
Yeah, she's good.
And there's another player over at Notre Dame, Hannah Hidalgo, unbelievable. There's another player over in South Carolina right now, Flu Lily. She's unbelievable. And we're seeing them in this tournament, and we're realizing that Caitlin Clark is not going to leave the cupboard bare behind her.
But have you
know?
ever heard of Iowa getting to the Final Four?
Never.
All right.
Yeah,
Same thing with Indiana State and, and
absolutely.
Larry Bird.
Good point.
They're the people that are making. She's the one that's making Iowa and women's college basketball the cause celeb.
It is. And Al, let me tell you something. In Albany, okay, they I don't know why they shipped them all the way to Albany, but they did in the committee's mind. And so they were the top seed in Albany, in a region that was stacked with last year's defending champion, this year's number one. You know, they were UConn, which was the perennial champion. I mean, just unbelievable teams aligned that they have to face, right? So laying in wait on the other side is upstart at North Carolina State from the ACC and indomitable South Carolina, the number 1 overall seed, undefeated. So they're on a collision course, to get to the final, but at the same time, they're going to have to go through some tough teams to get there. And, UConn's going to be their next toughest opponent. And here's the thing that I thought was pretty cool was post-game interview with Holly Rowe, Caitlin Clark goes, you know what? At the end of it, she says, job's not finished. We can revel in beating these guys, but you know what? There was none of this. There was none of this. There was like, job's not finished. That's a great message. That's a great message for kids to hear.
I mean, it's a message that everybody has, but some don't say it.
Right.
But that's the message. I mean, so you win a quarterfinal.
Regional final.
I'm saying you win a quarter, you win a semi, and you lose in the finals, you're a loser.
Right.
I hate to say that, but it is the way we throw it out there.
But here's the thing. You win with class, you lose with class.
Yeah.
You lose to a better opponent, you tip your cap to the opponent. You beat a lesser opponent, you don't rub your face in that opponent's loss because they're feeling already bad. And those are the messages I think.
Who do you like on the other side?
I like South Carolina. South Carolina to be there. They're unbelievable. And then on the men's side, Al, unbelievable. UConn, who's going to beat them? The mighty UConn Huskies. My neighbor Jim Catadell. Hey Jim, what's going on? I texted him, about who's going to beat these guys. They go on a 30-0 run in that game, and unbelievable, Al. Illinois didn't know what hit them here at TD Garden. And it was funny because I had to go pick up Natalia from the train station. My daughter came in for Easter. We hope everyone had a great Easter. And I arrived there just as the crush of people were getting there to the Garden for that UConn-Illinois game, And so I kind of escaped just as it started up. But unbelievable, Al. It was a great tournament. It's been a great tournament.
I'm not pulling for UConn to win, but
no, anti-Husky bias or
no, it's not. How I think everybody does this. You look at the 4 teams that are out there, and you say, "Well, it's like Montreal Canadiens. I've had enough of the Canadiens. I want the Bees to win."
Al, I want you to watch this. Do me a favor. I want you to watch this game. If you don't watch any other games this weekend, I want you to watch Purdue, versus NC State. All right, NC State, 41-year anniversary of their national championship with Jim Valvano, and they have this guy, 6'9", 275, DJ Burns, unbelievable, Al. He's got skill like you wouldn't believe. He's got more athletic talent in his little pinky than Purdue's big man, Zach Edey. I watched this game with my brothers-in-law and my nephew during Easter, and I could not understand why people were so sold on this guy as the, prohibitive favorite to be the Naismith Award winner, which is like the Heisman Trophy winner in college basketball. He looked clumsy. He got fatigued. He couldn't, he rarely protected the rim. He got one block shot. Meanwhile, this other kid's coming down. He's throwing hot sauce at the point. He's making passes. He's dribbling, penetrating to the rim. He's knocking down jumpers. He's doing it all. 6'9", 275. Hey, big man, who said you couldn't play basketball? All right, you can hoop, baby. I love it. I love it.
Should be interesting.
That was me. That was me on the basketball court. But I tell you, you got to watch that game because I predict that kid is going to eat Edey alive.
Yeah. Well, I think I wouldn't pick Purdue. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see when if UConn wins and North Carolina wins.
Yeah. Oof.
That'll be an interesting game.
UConn's a wagon right now. They got a lot, and let me tell you, they're big man. If Edey survives this guy, he's not going to survive Klingon.
No.
They call him Kling Kong.
Yeah, the Klingon. Star Trek.
But he's like, but that dude is just as skilled, and he's got game. And it looks like he might be departing early, but no greater job that's been done this year than that of Danny Hurley, the UConn head coach. So hats off to the Huskies. Good luck to them, and we hope it turns out great for all of those Husky fans, Al excluded. But Al, the other exciting thing here, Frozen 4. Did you watch that game that BU had against Quinnipiac? Oh, everyone's here at the studios. They're weeping because unbelievable overtime win for BC, the #1 overall seed. They had a great overtime win. Their captain, Jack Malone, on the doorstep, juicy rebound, sends BC, to the championship game. And,
I think it was. I thought Quinnipiac.
Or the Frozen Four. The Frozen Four. Yeah.
I thought Quinnipiac was the better team.
They
but
looked at
BC hangs in there.
Yeah.
And I think when it's BC BU, it's like Harvard Yale.
Right.
Latin English stuff like that. Rivalries are tough to predict.
Yeah, it really.
I'll take BU though.
I'll go with the Eagles. I'm going to hang with the Eagles. I love their skill. They have one of the leading scorers, Cutter Gauthier. He's unbelievable. That kid line is like
I could care less who wins, but I think
they're on a collision course to see each other again.
Some good players.
Oh,
all the way down. They got some good forwards. They got some good defense.
Well, the kid they have, Macklin Celebrini, is already projected to be the #1 overall pick in the NHL draft.
I don't know if he's big enough, but he's a player.
But these other kids that the BC have, they just roll at you in waves, man. Greg Brown, their coach, he just rolls guys over the boards and inundates you. And their skill on the power play is spectacular. Their skill on the power play is just simply spectacular. And they get into you quickly. Yeah. And we sit there and watch those games now, and I sit there, why can't the Bruins get entry passes like that? Why can't they be on the puck?
It's style, though. It's a different style, and when you get into the bigs, the pros,
bigger sheets.
Well, I think the Bruins have an identity crisis going on with what they really want their defensemen to do. Yeah. When the defensemen move into the zone, if we're second now to the Bees, you watched the game last night. First period, nothing. And the second period was almost nothing. And I said, and I'll say it to the end here, every night I watch the game, I can't tell you who's the better team. The Bruins never look like the better team, even against teams that are struggling to get into the playoffs.
But you know what, though?
But they're winners.
They don't relent.
I'm happy with what Montgomery did a couple of games ago where he called them out in practice. They were late for practice and all that stuff, but he had them run sprints and all that stuff. They have to play, right now, they have to play playoff-style hockey.
Yes.
And if they don't, they're not going to go far again, and that could really hurt. I mean, if this team went out in the first round, if they go out in the first round again, Monty's in trouble.
Yeah. Well, Al, it's a great point you make about this being the time for teams to start ramping up their playoff mentality and mindset.
Checking.
Yeah.
Last night, the Bruins, I'll tell you what, Nashville's a good team.
Yes.
They check, but the Bruins were checking them all over the ice.
Yes.
And that's what they don't do every night.
Yeah.
And checking does a lot of things. Forechecking creates pucks in the other team's zone.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Last night, I'll tell you.
And you know what? Puck battles. You're winning puck battles.
You got to win. I always look at who goes to the puck, which guy comes out with it.
Yeah.
And recently it's been the other team that comes out with the puck. The Bruins are make more mistakes than I've ever seen. They're more mistakes than they made last year. Let's put it that way. That team last year was separate.
Yeah.
But they have trouble getting out of the zone, even in the Cassidy era.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's saving them is their goaltending. I hate to say it.
Yeah. And Al, it's interesting because you've been getting some great performances from both, Swayman, at the Capitals when they got to the shootout, he kept, the flurry they put on him when they went empty net and they tried to win it in regulation before it goes into overtime and then a shootout, even in the shootout. And they kill, Al, in that game, they kill a 4-minute double minor with 3 seconds, 4:03 remaining in the overtime.
It was an ugly 4 minutes for Washington. I mean, that was... And then you had Brad Marchand lose his stick, so now you're down. It was a 4-on-3, and now you're down to 4-on-2.5, and then they bring an extra attacker, and they still couldn't get it in there. I like the way they played last night because they were playing a decent team.
Yeah.
And Charlie Coyle's goal was a terrific goal.
Tremendous.
That thing was a rifle.
He needed to get that
But
one.
then you got Pavel Zacha and Pasternak. Pasternak's going to score. I still think, though, if I'm the opposing coach, I'm going to say, listen, they're going to go to Pasta. They're always going to go to Pasta. Make sure he doesn't have, because his angle is very difficult. He's usually over on this side and the goalie's over here. Yeah. I'm not sure if he'd be better off if he moved a little.
He's got to have someone running with him.
Well, you got to have options. On this side, you're either going to go low,
right,
or you're going to have to go up over the guy's shoulder on this side. Now, that can happen, but if you're more in the middle, you can go left, right, low, high. He's a terrific player. The other night, his
oh my God!
That wasn't even a good goal.
No, that was the cheesiest shootout goal I've ever seen in my life.
When they said when Pasta came up,
trickling in across the line.
I was watching it with somebody, and when he come up, I said, "Oh, here we go." I mean, he's not a great shootout guy, but when you look at some of the percentages of these other guys, who are like 50, 60, 70% on shootouts.
He's
the Bees got to win in 60 minutes because if it goes overtime. And if it goes to a shootout, they're probably going to lose. They've lost 15 games
in overtime.
15 games in overtime. They have the least losses of any team right now. Today.
Seems like they let go of the rope there. They exhale. But circling back to the point I was going to make, and kind of in support of your thought, was they've been getting great goaltending from both guys.
Yeah, I think
Swayman
right
and then Ullmark made his mark.
Yeah.
So Al, if you're Jim Montgomery, who do you go with in the playoffs? And do you stay with one guy?
No, I think
because that was a mistake he made last year.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen here, I don't think he'll stay with one anyways, because I think what will happen here is over the next 8 or so games, if they do 4-4, who's the hot one is going to start.
Right.
Will start the next series. Ullman has been slightly better than Swayman recently.
Yeah,
Swayman's doing some bad stuff recently in terms of, he used to be pretty good. Well, he was originally not great on rebounds.
Yeah.
And then he became pretty good on rebounds. He seems to be giving up rebounds. More.
Yes.
And against teams that have big guys around the net, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But both of them are terrific. The key with the goaltending for the Bruins, though, is Ullman the other night made some great saves, but when he needed to make the save, he let one go over his shoulder. Yeah. That's a killer.
Yeah.
And I still think, and I love the team, but I don't think they're going to be. They're not a Stanley Cup team right now.
Right.
But you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, the thing, you assume those that go over his shoulder, he has a line of sight on them, but you can never tell how much traffic there is, net front presence, some of their bigger.
I'll tell you though, when you got to look at things, I'll tell you who's not playing well. Marchand, from a goal scoring standpoint, is not playing very well. He's all over the ice. He's a great player and everything, but you take out Pasternak, okay? McAvoy is their next best player in my opinion. You win on defense and goaltending. McAvoy is a terrific player.
Great checker.
Pasta is a goal scorer. But think about this: they've got Coyle, they got Geeky, they got Frederick. They got these guys all in the 16 to 20 goal range.
Yeah.
They've never had that spread.
And you know what? That absolutely, that's a good thing. And you look at the
and DeBrusque.
Who? Remind you, was it Marchand who set up Coyle on that, or was it Pasta?
On the
on that shorthand, on the shorty. That was Marchand.
Oh, what's his name had too? Denton Heinen. Another kid.
Oh my God, that guy's all over it.
They got him for nothing.
He's all over it too, though.
Well, he's got between 16 and 20 goals.
Yeah.
He said he got 2 assists last night.
There you go.
And he's all over the ice.
Oh,
he's a pretty decent player. He's a better player. They're getting really good play for the money.
Yeah.
And Morgan Geeky was another one that they stole.
Yeah.
So you got to give Sweeney and Neely credit for bringing in guys that have really done fairly well.
Yeah.
I think. I think Frederick, there's been a lull. He was playing really well, and then there was this stretch here where he's, you don't see him.
Yeah.
But that was, he played a good game last night. Coyle is another one. Hadn't scored for a while. Now he scored like that. They get Carolina Thursday night. If they beat Carolina, which I don't think they will do,
that'll be a wildly successful road trip.
That's a team though that's right there, meaning that's a Stanley Cup
contender
type team.
Right. Yep.
So you'll have 7 games left. They do play Florida again.
Yeah.
They play Washington again.
Yeah.
Everybody says Toronto, but I worry about Toronto because they're loaded, except for a goalie.
Yeah. And you know who else has had a fairly surprising road trip to start the season was the Red Sox.
Well, I've been watching the Red Sox. I don't see it as that surprising because Oakland's probably worse than the Red Sox.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we didn't know about these guys.
What I like about what I see, and we can talk about it a million times, what wins in baseball and what wins in hockey, goalie and defense, pitching and defense.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox have had excellent defense. I'm going to tell you one thing about the shortstop. He's an all-around good player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
no doubt.
I don't know about his hitting. He got 3 hits last night, but
he's been hitting.
A key hit.
Yeah.
But
Tyler O'Neill.
I like Tyler O'Neill.
I do too.
I like the kid.
How about the fact that he opens the season with this record of having hit a homer in 4 consecutive opening days, and then he becomes the first one in Major League Baseball to do it 5 years in a row.
I mean, he doesn't just hit it.
Oh, he was croaking them.
He's got some. Now it's interesting because I look at this team. I look at Devers, right? Devers 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 last night. You don't think that Story's going to lead the team. You think Devers is going to. I mean, it's just the way it is. He got all that money in long-term contract. He's a question mark for me in terms of what's he going to be like 4 or 5 years from now. Yeah. I don't think he's a solid 300 hitter. I think he's a 280 hitter.
And the other thing that I really
they're winning with pitching
that I really like about this team is their athleticism on the base path. I mean, you look at Duran, you look at Trevor Story, you look at O'Neill, you look at Rafaela.
You know what Duran is?
All these guys are like threats to
Duran,
steal.
first of all, is built big more than people think.
Yeah.
Second of all, for a guy who's that size to run that quick, reminds me of Ricky Henderson in a way. Because when he gets on base, he goes from first to third in a blink of an eye. I don't think their outfielders, when they see him rounding second base, they don't even throw it to third. What's the sense? Throw it to the cutoff guy, and maybe he might pick up something, maybe. So he's leading off. So I think he's a solid player. I think on the pitching side, I worry a little about Bello because, against Oakland last night, 5 innings, so-so.
Pivetta deserved to win.
He deserved to win. Pitch. I think Whitlock is going to be a decent pitcher. I think Houck could be a decent pitcher. So there's still questions on the pitching staff against good teams.
Now, in the bullpen,
sure.
I think they're fortified there.
Jensen, Winkowski, they got some arms. They've got some arms in there.
I like Winkowski, man. I like his battle approach. Going after hitters, and he was a beneficiary maybe of some great defense from Sedan Rafaela. He was a deep drive to center, and the kid perfectly ran. That was considered
the best play of the day. I watched the 5 best plays of the day. There were a couple of spectacular plays, though. Here's the difference, though. Rafael runs to the ball. See, that was a ball that when you hit it, you got to know where you got to run to.
Right.
That's a great center fielder.
Yes.
He ran to the ball, and he outran it.
He outran the ball. He got to the spot that it was going to be.
There was a play, and I can't remember the guy's name, a left fielder, actually, going from left field towards center. And the ball was behind him when he made the catch. Behind.
So
dove.
He outran it?
No, he was this way. The ball was going this way. So it's just, if you get a chance to watch it, it's in the internet. I forget the guy's name, but I like watching those kinds of plays because those plays do 2 things. One, they win games, and they make the pitcher understand what team is all about. When you see a kid like Rafael make a catch like that ball goes over his head. That's a triple.
Now, how many shutouts do they have now so far this season?
Oh, Jesus.
Think about that. 9-0, and last night 1-0. Right?
Well,
or 3.
3. Yeah, but I think
1-0. Bruins were 3-0.
Bruins were, it was 5-4 last night.
Yeah, it's 5-4. But didn't they win 1-0?
Yeah, they did. But I think, I discount.
Oh, no, they lost at 1-0.
Yeah, I discount Oakland because they got to win today. If they don't win this, they got a game, I think, at 3:30 our time. So they're playing Oakland.
1 o'clock their time. Getaway day.
We've got to see what happens here. They should, and then they go to L.A.
And then they got to come here to go play
and
the
then
Orioles.
They come back. So a road trip starting for the Red Sox out west is usually 0-9, 1-8.
And they got to play the Angels. The Angels with a fairly hot Mike Trout.
He's always hot. Bryce Harper hit 3 home runs yesterday.
We hardly had any time to discuss the Celtics, but they're kind of wrapping up their season and getting ready.
They've only lost 16 games all year. Imagine that. They've lost 16. The Bruins have lost 17.
Unbelievable seasons. Unbelievable.
2 professional teams,
How good do we have
lucky.
Here? All righty, well, thank you very much for joining us here on Stepping Up to the Plate. We look forward to having you join us next time. All righty, everyone, take care. Have a great day.